Okay, we're going to move on to coordinate geometry of the line. This is on chapter 11. Okay, so you would have done coordinates last year, and you would have done the distance formula and the midpoint formula last year. We're going to go back over them for the first section, the distance and midpoint formula. Remember, coordinates are given with an x and y value. Okay, the x one comes first and then the y one. Alright, so remember, when you're plotting, you plot across your x first and then up your y. Alright, but we'll get that when we're doing this further down the chapter, but you should already have done some of this last year. Alright, the distance between 2 points. If you're given 2 coordinates and you're asked for the distance between them, what you do is you go to your maths tables. Okay, we didn't use them that much last year, but this year and moving on you'll use them quite a bit. And if you go to page 18, okay, page 18, there's a number of formula. There's a few formula here, and the distance formula, or the length of a line, is here. Okay, it's that formula there. Now it's in the book on page 247 as well. Okay, it's in the yellow box down the bottom here. Alright, so we're going to do a couple of examples. One is just one I've made up and one's from the book. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 examples. We're going to take these examples down and then I'm going to give you a couple of questions to try from the book. Alright, so calculate the distance between 2, 4 and 7, 1. So there are 2 points on a coordinate plane. Okay, so what we do first of all is always label them. Okay, so generally I pick a different colour pen. I'm just going to pick red and I label them. This is an x and this is a y, but this is my first x and my first y, and this is my second x and this is my second y. x1, y1, x2, y2. So you label your 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2. It doesn't actually make a difference whether you label this one x1, y1 or this x1, y1. It doesn't make a difference. Usually I just put the first one as x1, y1 and the second one as x2, y2. We then go to our, because we're asked for distance between them or the length of the line, we go to our maths tables, but again it's in your books on page 247, and you write out the distance formula. The distance formula is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and then you just substitute in your numbers. Okay, so leave your big square root sign. Instead of an x2 you put in 7. Instead of an x1 it's minus and it's going to be 2, and that's going to be squared, plus your y2 is 1 and your y1 is 4, and that's going to be squared, is equal to, and leave your square root sign, so 7 minus 2 is 5 squared, plus, now 1 minus 4 is minus 3 squared. So 5 squared is a nice easy one, 25. Now minus 3 squared or 3 squared, whichever it turns out to be, is always going to be a plus. Anything squared is always going to be a plus. So you end up with the square root of 34. The distance between those 2 points is the square root of 34. Now usually they probably ask you to leave it like that. Okay. Otherwise, if they ask you for a decimal point, you just put that into your calculator. Do the same thing over here. This time it gives you A and B, and it might say something like this: find A, B with those 2 parallel lines. That means find the length of the line AB. Okay, so these 2 are the same questions with just different numbers. So again, before we start, I'm going to get my red pen and I'm going to label this one x1 and this one y1 and this one x2 and this one y2. And then again, always write out your formula. So you can write it, instead of writing D, the distance, you can write AB with those 2 straight lines. It doesn't make a difference. Is equal to the square root of x2. Now x2 is 5 minus x1. Now be careful, minus 1. I'll leave it like that for the time being. It looks a bit odd, but we'll come back to it. Plus y2 is 7 minus 3, and that's to be squared, equals. Okay, so I think we all know that when you have a minus, that's actually going to be a plus. So it's 5 plus 1 is 6 squared, plus 7 minus 3 is 4 squared. So we end up with the square root of 36 plus 16 is equal to the square root of 52. Okay, and that's actually the first that's the first example on page 248. That's from your book. This one I've made up. This is from your book. Okay, so what I want you to do is, could you please take down these two examples, take down the formula that's on page 247 in the yellow box, and then I'm going to put down what questions I want you to do. So take these down first, and then I'll get you to do some questions, and if you have any questions, please reply. And this is generally for anything that's tricky. I'm going to be posting videos. You'll be looking at them, taking down examples, and hopefully they should get a bit better. I'm just getting used to the new camera stuff as well. So take down the two examples, and then we'll attempt the questions, and obviously you'll take down some notes, but I'll put that in the assignment.